So this step is to show you how to solder the coin cell battery holder to the string of LEDs. Before you get started, remove any coin cell batteries that you have. And then proceed to measure the length of your wires to the length of your LEDs. As you can see here, I've made the length of my positive terminal of my LED string longer than the negative terminal, and the same thing seems to be happening with the coin cell battery. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut off some of the positive terminal wire just so that I can align this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So for me to do that, I will be using some tools. The first thing I will be using is some wire cutters. So I'm just gonna snap. And then I will be using a wire stripper to strip the end of the wire so that it is exposed. As you can see, the wire is now exposed, and I'm just gonna give it a good twist. Alright, so what I like to do before I get started with the soldering is to coat each end of the wire that I'm going to solder together with some solder first, just so when I'm finally heating the process and trying to join them together, it will be easier. Following that, sorry about the sirens. Before I begin soldering, I also make sure to put the heat shrings onto the wires first, because once you've soldered them together, there's no way for you to put them on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the bigger heat shrink over both the wires, just like that. And then I'm gonna put the smaller heat shrink just over one of them. The reason for this is so that when I have soldered it in place, I'm gonna put the heat shrink to cover either one of the wires so that they do not touch each other and there will be no short circuits. So I'm going to have two heat shrinks in place. The bigger heat shrink is just to hold both solder joints together and reinforce the joints. Alright, so now that I've put them in place, I can begin soldering. So now I'm just gonna clamp the wires in place using this set of helping hands. Just like that. Alright, see if I can bring it a little bit closer. Okay. And then I'm gonna start by, let me zoom that up, by cleaning my soldering iron. Just like that. I have my solder here. Now the nib is all, let me try to focus on it. Nib's all clean and shiny. Ready to go. I have my solder here. You can cut this solder into strips and just hold the strips, but I'm very comfortable with holding the whole solder itself, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it like this. Again, as I said before, we're gonna start by covering the tip with solder. Make sure to do this in a ventilated space. And then I'm going to heat the wire and add solder to the wire tip that we just cut and stripped earlier on. Now I'm just gonna try to solder them together. And there you go. Let it cool. Just going to, again, you can see that there is a blob of iron there, a blob of solder, not iron, a blob of solder, and which I'm just gonna quickly clean that off. And there, all nice and shiny again. So let's check our solder joint. Unclipping this too. If my camera can just focus here. Look, this is a beautiful soldering joint. Alright, and so the next step is to just cover it with heat shrink. Okay, and I will be doing that by using a long arm lighter. So again, what you can do is hold it in place with your helping arms. Just like that. And then use a long arm lighter to provide the heat. Make sure not to burn your heat shrink. Just bring the lighter close enough to provide the heat for the heat shrink.